The last person I expected to knock on my door at 7 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday was my best friend's little sister, holding court papers in trembling hands. She didn't say hello. She didn't smile. She just looked straight into my eyes and said, "Sign here and become my husband." Because it had to be a joke. But when I looked down and saw the official court seal, her shaking fingers, and tears silently falling onto the papers, I realized something terrifying. She wasn't joking. And before that day ended, I would learn a truth that would destroy everything I thought I knew about friendship, loyalty, and love. Rain tapped softly against my apartment windows as I stood frozen in the doorway. Sarah Malik, my best friend Hassan's younger sister, stood there soaked pale and desperate. I hadn't seen her properly in years. The last time was at Hassan's graduation party, where she'd been an awkward college freshman hiding behind books and oversized sweaters. Now she looked different. Older, exhausted, like life had aged her faster than time should allow. Her eyes were red not from sleep, but from crying. Can I come in?" she asked quietly. Something in her voice made me step aside without thinking. She walked in slowly, clutching the folder like it was the only thing keeping her together. Water dripped from her coat onto my floor, but neither of us cared. "What's going on?" I asked. "And why are you giving me legal papers?" She placed them on my table and pushed them toward me. Marriage registration application. My name already filled in. Her name beside it. My stomach tightened. "Sarah, what is this?" Her lips trembled. "I need you to marry me." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. Nothing came. Instead, she sat down and covered her face, shoulders shaking. I didn't know who else to ask. That sentence hit harder than anything else. Because Sarah was never dramatic, never impulsive. She was the responsible one, the quiet sister who solved problems instead of creating them. Which meant something was terribly wrong. I pulled out a chair across from her. To start talking, she hesitated, as if choosing between truth and survival. "You remember my father's business?" she asked. I nodded. Everyone knew Uncle Malik's company had collapsed 2 years ago after fraud allegations. Hassan rarely spoke about it. "It wasn't fraud," she whispered. "Someone framed him." Her hands clenched tightly together. "And now the same people want everything we have left." I frowned. "What does that have to do with marrying me?" She looked up. Fear, real fear. "They're forcing me into a marriage agreement to clear the debt." The room went silent. My chest tightened. "A forcing? They own the legal claim now," she said. "If I refuse, they take our house." Rouse. "My father could go back to prison." My mother, her voice broke. "She won't survive that." I felt anger rising inside me. "Oh, so call the police." She gave a hollow laugh. "The man behind this is connected to the system." I didn't know what to say. Then she slid another document toward me. Emergency civil marriage protection filing. "If I'm already legally married," she explained, "they can't force another contract." And suddenly it clicked. "You need a husband. Fast." Her eyes met mine. "I need someone I trust." The weight of those words pressed heavily on my chest. Hassan was my brother in everything except blood. We'd survived university struggles, job failures, heartbreaks, everything together. And now his sister sat in front of me asking for something irreversible. Marriage, not fake dating. Not pretending. Legal marriage. "This is insane," I muttered, running a hand through my hair. Sarah, marriage isn't paperwork." "I know," she said softly. "That's why I came to you." Her honesty disarmed me. "I know expectations," she continued quickly. "Oh, no emotional pressure, just protection." 6 months. After that, we annul it. Simple, logical, temporary. So what did my chest feel tight? I looked at her again. Really looked this time. She hadn't slept. Her hands shook constantly. She looked like someone standing at the edge of collapse, trying desperately not to fall. "How long do I have to decide?" I asked. Her answer came almost as a whisper. "They're coming tonight." My heart skipped. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky. I stood up and walked toward the window, mind racing. This wasn't just helping a friend. This meant legal responsibility, family complications, explaining everything to Hassan. And deep down, another thought bothered me. Why me? Out of everyone she knew, why had she come here first? Behind me, Sarah spoke again, her voice smaller than before. "If you say no, I understand." That hurt more than the request itself. I turned back. She was already gathering the papers, preparing to leave, dignity barely holding together her breaking world. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. She had come here as her last hope. If I refused, she had nowhere else to go. My hand moved before my mind caught up. Oh, wait. She froze. I picked up the pen lying beside the documents. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. One signature. That's all it would take. But just as I lowered the pen toward the paper, my phone rang. Asen's name flashed across the screen, and the moment I answered, his panicked voice exploded through the speaker. I won't sign anything. I have no idea what my sister is hiding from you. The pen slipped from my fingers. Sarah's face went completely pale, and for the first time that morning, I wondered, was I saving her or walking straight into something dangerous? Austin's words echoed in my ears long after the call disconnected. You have no idea what my sister is hiding from you. The apartment felt smaller suddenly, heavier. Sarah stood motionless across from me, her breathing uneven, eyes fixed on the phone still in my hand. She already knew what her brother had said, and the silence between us became unbearable. What is he talking about? I asked quietly, shyly. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Sarah, I said again, firmer this time, if I'm going to risk my life, my name, and my future for you, I deserve the truth. Her shoulders slowly collapsed as if she had been holding up a wall that finally gave way. You're right, she whispered. She sat down again, staring at the marriage papers like they carried every mistake she'd ever made. There's more, she admitted. I waited, and what she said next changed everything. 2 years ago, when her father's company fell apart, Sarah had discovered something hidden inside the financial records, evidence proving the business hadn't failed naturally. It had been stolen, assets transferred illegally, documents forged, signatures manipulated, and the man responsible... A powerful investor named Cameron Shaw, the same man now demanding she marry his son to settle a debt. He didn't just want money, Sarah said, voice trembling. He wanted control, our company patents, our property, everything. So expose him, I said. Her eyes filled again. I tried. She reached into her bag and pulled out a flash drive. This contains proof, she said. Bank transfers, fake contracts, everything. My stomach tightened. Then why hasn't this gone public? Her hands shook violently now, because someone leaked that I had evidence. A cold realization crept over me. And since then, she continued, I've been followed, threatened. My father's case suddenly reopened. Lawyers started disappearing from our side. She swallowed hard. They told me if I didn't cooperate, accidents happen. The room fell silent. Fell silent. This wasn't desperation. This was survival. And Osan? I asked. She closed her eyes. He wanted me to run, leave the country, forget everything. Oh, that sounds reasonable. Yes, she said softly. But running means admitting my father is guilty. Her voice cracked. I can't let him die believing we abandoned the truth. For the first time, I understood this wasn't about marriage. It was about courage, about a daughter refusing to let injustice win. I picked up my phone and called Asen back. He answered instantly. Tell me everything. I said. There was a long pause before he sighed heavily. He didn't tell you about the danger, did she? She told me enough. Asen's voice softened. Listen, Sarah's stubborn. Always has been. She thinks carrying everything alone protects us. She came to me because she trusts me. I know, he said quietly. That's exactly why I'm scared. He hesitated before adding, if you marry her, you become a target too. I looked at Sarah sitting across from me, trying so hard not to cry. A memory surfaced suddenly. Years ago during university, I lost my job and nearly dropped out. Asen had secretly paid my tuition without telling me. Family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's loyalty. Sometimes it's showing up when someone's world is collapsing. I ended the call. Sarah looked up cautiously. Oh well, she asked. I walked toward the table, picked up the pen again. Her breathing stopped. This marriage, I said slowly, won't just be paperwork. She nodded nervously. I know. If I do this, we fight together. No secrets, no running. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I promise. I signed. The sound of pen against paper felt louder than thunder. Sarah covered her mouth, overwhelmed, as if she hadn't truly believed anyone would stand beside her. But the real storm came later that night. At the courthouse, under harsh fluorescent lights, we became husband and wife. No music, no celebration, just signatures and silent determination. But as we stepped outside, a black car parked across the street. Watching, Sarah's hand instinctively grabbed mine. "They found us," she whispered, and in that moment, fear should have taken over. Instead, something unexpected happened. I squeezed her hand tighter. For the record," I said, managing a small smile, "a worst honeymoon ever." She laughed through tears. The first genuine laugh I'd heard from her all day, and strangely, it felt right. The next months were chaos, legal battles, threats, sleepless nights. But marriage changed something neither of us expected. We stopped pretending. Late-night conversations turned into trust. Trust turned into comfort. Comfort turned into something deeper. I saw her strength, how she refused to break even when terrified. She saw mine, how I refused to leave even when danger followed us home. Together, we released the evidence publicly through independent investigators. The case exploded nationwide. Cameron Shaw was arrested. Her father's name was cleared. Justice, slow but undeniable, finally arrived. 6 months later, we sat in the same apartment where everything began. Annulment papers lay between us. The deal was complete, freedom restored. Sarah pushed the papers toward me gently. "You're free now," she said. But neither of us moved. The silence felt familiar, almost sacred. Finally, I asked the question neither of us wanted to face. "Do you want this to end?" Her eyes shimmered. "I came to you asking for a husband to save my life," she said softly. "But somewhere along the way, you became my home." My chest tightened because the truth hit me at the same time. This marriage had started as protection, but love had quietly grown in the spaces between fear and courage. I slid the annulment papers aside. "No signatures today," I said. Her breath caught. Instead, I took her hand, not out of obligation this time, but choice. Final message, closing for YouTube audience. Sometimes life hands you responsibilities disguised as problems. Sometimes the person asking for help isn't looking for rescue, but partnership. And sometimes the most unexpected promises become the strongest love stories. Because real love doesn't begin with perfect timing. It begins when someone says, "I'll stand with you even when it's hard," and chooses to